Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm going to spend some time talking about two markets that we think are very unique. We're going to talk about the Globex, which very few people are familiar with to trade. And let's see here. Read, my slides are not advancing. What am I doing wrong?
All
I got
right.
it. I
So
got it. Never
got
mind. I think I do. Okay. Sorry about that, guys and gals. But we're going to talk about the Globex market, which starts at 5 o'clock. Most people think, you know, as traders, the day starts at 8:30 in the morning when the U.S. opens, but it actually starts at 5 p.m. In fact, I will tell you now, and it's one of my favorite trade setups, we're short from 2065. I put out a sell into the close, and we got short right at the close. And so that's what we are doing in our room tonight. Okay, so how many of you have traded in the Globex? Okay, so that kind of helps me where we may want to take this conversation. The Globex, of course, is the market that, as I said a few minutes ago, that we just started trading about, what is it now, 35 minutes ago. And the session that I'm going to talk about is the one where I call trades from 5 in the evening till roughly 3 in the morning. But we now have what we think is the only that we know of live chat room that goes literally 24 hours a day with traders calling trades around the clock. I start at 5 o'clock in the evening, as I said, and I go to about 3 in the morning. And we have Dr. Frank Stanley, which many of you may have heard of. He's been around a long time. He comes in and starts at 5 in the morning, goes till 7. Then we have Roy Bigler, starts at 8 and goes till 10. Then we have Dirty Harry. Dirty Harry comes in at around 10 o'clock and goes till noon. Then we have John Andrews comes in and does options from 12 to 1. And then we have West Coast Roy. We have two Roys. We have East Coast and West Coast. And West Coast Roy comes in at 1 o'clock and goes till 3, and he does a great job using Murray lines and volume profile and so forth and so on. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that. So we are a 24-hour trade room, but I'm going to focus a little bit tonight on my part of that room. And as many of you know, the Globex has only been around since the early 90s, and I have been part of that market. In fact, I had the good fortune to help experiment and test electronic trading platforms. Many of the electronic trading platforms that you now use today are the grandfather of electronic platforms that originated from the CME and the Reuters product, which we call the Globex. In fact, in those days, you had a designated terminal that only accessed that market. There was just a handful of us that traded those markets in those days. You had to be approved by the futures exchanges, and you paid a few $1,000s to obtain one of these terminals, and then you paid about $1,000 a month to have one. And the volume was very thin, and of course, there wasn't anyone to teach us what to do or what not to do, because it was all brand new. So we had to figure it out on our own. As we say, we paid our tuition. And as I said earlier, there was probably only a half a dozen of us originally. And of course today, if you have a few $1,000s in a futures account, you can access not only this market, but just about any market in the world that you want to trade. So it's just fascinating for me to have been part of this evolution and to see how much this market has changed. And it's only going to continue to grow. Now, again, in I hate to say the early days because it ages me, but in the early 90s when the Globex first started its trading, and you could only access the market, as an individual, 2004. So you can see how long it's been that we just have what we call open market access. but it was a very thin market, and again, there were just, there wasn't any instructors or manuals or anything to tell us, what to do or not to do. We had to figure it out, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we have figured out after all these years. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking about trading futures. You've talked about or thinking about learning how to trade futures, or you're just starting. And let me just say this, if I say anything this evening, one of the best places to learn how to trade futures is in the night market, because again, it moves slower, it trends better, and here's my favorite: you don't have these high frequency trading programs that tend to mess up markets and create a lot of volatility like we see during the day. These quant models that these mathematicians have created, these high frequency trading programs, they require a tremendous amount of volume, and there's just not enough volume at night to accommodate these quant models. So I'm not going to say you don't have some computers buying and selling at night, but you don't have these high frequency trading programs like we see during the day. And we have spent, and I'll talk about this in just a few minutes, I have spent a good bit of my life, many years, developing trade signals that only work at night and don't really work during the day. And this is it's real simple. If you have less volatility, you can use tighter stops and you can use less risk. As I said, we sold 20.65 into the close tonight. We're still short, and we have stops at 67 3/4 and 68 3/4. And stops like that during the day, chances are you're probably going to get stopped out. Most of you know about futures contracts. We're short on time, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the mechanics of a E-mini contract. I'm just going to skip through this. I will say, in addition to being able to trade or speculate in the Globex, you have the ability to hedge, and this is a huge tool that most people do not realize is available to them. It's only futures now. You can't just hedge it with options or equities, but you can hedge anything you have with a future literally at night. And so if you go to bed fat and happy and your portfolio is doing well, and you wake up in the morning to find out there's been a Lehman event or Bear Stearns or a tsunami in Japan or whatever, and you decide, I need to do something with my portfolio before the U.S. market opens, I can't wait for the U.S. to open, then you can go into the Globex and hedge your portfolio. And in our room we teach you how to do that as well. So here's a way to trade the E-mini. Most of you are familiar with the S&P, but again, when you're trading at night in the Globex, it has a whole different set of rules, and we're going to talk about that here and the indicators that we use to help find trades in our trade room. Again, we are, as far as we know, the only live chat room. There are chat rooms open 24 hours, but not where you have traders around the clock helping you navigate the market. What I'm going to focus on is my time frame from 5 in the evening till roughly 3 in the morning. All right, so many of you remember, if you've been around a while, Greenspan, his irrational exuberance speech and how that just changed the whole directions of the market. And, I'm not sure why, but it just seems like every time there's a major market event, we usually find out about it during this session. You can go back and think about them, as I said, the tsunami in Japan, the crisis in Europe with Greece and the pigs, as they call them. It's just always, it seems like when there's really bad news, they break it on a Sunday night or they break it in the Globex, and it's having the access to this market, understanding how it works, can give you a tremendous advantage when you're trying to trade futures. Now, in our room, and what we try to do is, and I think many of you have asked yourself this question, I know you've heard it with other speakers, what's the difference between an average trader and a successful one? And obviously it's an effective plan, and that's what we're going to talk about here over the next few minutes if time allows. Again, we're short on time, so I apologize if I'm trying to rush through these slides, but we have the key market times that we've identified during this session. Now also, if I leave you with any one thought process tonight while it's time together is that, guys and gals, you all know we're in a 24-hour market. We all know that the economy now is a global one. China's GDP can affect what happens in our markets. I mean, think about it. A few years ago, you really didn't care about the GDP in China. Now if you don't know about the news that's coming out of China, whether it's QE or PMI numbers for manufacturing, same with Europe, you're at a huge disadvantage. We all know we're in a global marketplace. We all know we're in a global market. So the global market is 24 hours. 24 hours, you know that, and I know it. And if you're only trading during the day, you're missing out on some 17 hours of valuable information that can make you a better trader and or investor. I'm going to try to talk about some of our proprietary signals and indicators as time allows. Then we have some Greekisms. This is, I know, confusing. I'm obviously Greek, and so maybe not obviously, but that's what most people know me as. And so the folks in our room named some of these signals that I've developed over the years Greekisms. I will tell you that I think we have, and I'm very proud of this, we have one of the friendliest chat rooms I've ever been involved with. And the folks in our chat room like to give each other nicknames, like the cheerleader and Ever Ready and the Hawkeye. I mean, they do have some fun in there, and that's what it's about, in addition to making money. And we're going to talk a little bit about money management systems. So real quick, because again our time is short. All right, key market times, and if you'll hold your questions, I'll try to get to those right here at the end. Key market times, just like you have during the day, you have at night. For example, we are now in daylight savings time, and the Nikkei used to open at 6, opens at 7 because they do not recognize daylight savings time in Asia. We have Europe now opening at 2 a.m. instead of 1 a.m. because of daylight savings time. But you need to know when these major markets that affect the S&Ps open, because they can and will affect the S&Ps. And again, we only trade in my room at night the S&P, and I'm looking for those markets that cause the S&Ps to move up or down. Now, during the Asian session, which is what we're in right now, that starts at 5 o'clock and goes till about midnight, the Asian session is basically in control. The two markets that we look at and follow are the Nikkei and the Hang Seng. Now, to a more important market, obviously, is China, but the Hang Seng, Hong Kong, gives you pretty much what you need to see and know and understand. Now, a lot of you are going to ask me, well, what about Australia that's trading now and South Korea? Yes, those are important economies, but they do not affect the S&P, and we are only looking for those markets that affect the S&Ps, and that's what we do in this space during the Globex session. Then at midnight, we get into Europe. We have the European control that goes from 12 to 5 a.m. in the morning. Controlling markets there are the DAX and the FTSE. And pretty much the DAX, and because it's the largest economy, of course, in Europe, it is pretty much the controlling market from 12 midnight till 5 in the morning. And it's important you know these times because they cause and will have an effect on how the S&Ps move and how they trade. Now, as I said earlier, we have, as far as we know, one of the only 24-hour chat rooms where there's a live professional trader there calling trades, helping you navigate these markets literally around the clock. There's one more that's not on this screen. As I said, that's Roy Rotola, or West Coast Roy, who does the Murray lines and volume profiles, and he goes from 1 o'clock till 3 into the close. Oh, there he is. I'm sorry. And or actually 3:15. And I will tell you that we started this room, the 24-hour room. We were just a night room, used to be called Night Scalper. That's where many of you would have heard of us or know us. And we started the 24-hour room in July, and we've yet to have a losing month. All right, the key overnight trading window now for my session at night, as I said earlier, is from 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. And again, I cannot overemphasize this. If you're not at least aware of what goes on in the Globex or have a basic understanding of it, you're missing out on 17 hours of very valuable information. You don't have to stay up and trade all night. And I know a lot of you are thinking, well, Bill, you know, this sounds great and it sounds interesting, but I have a job or I have kids, I have a family. We know that and we understand that. And, you know, you don't have to stay up all night. One of the reasons we created the 24-hour room is so you can trade when it meets your schedule and your flexibility. Obviously, that's a large part of it. But, you know, we have certain tools that we use at night that alerts traders to certain trades that we're putting on. For example, we send out tweets, we make alarms, so, you know, you can just go about your business as we will do tonight. As I said, we're short from 65, 2065. And let's see, they're currently trading 2064 3/4 to 2065. So, you know, right now we're about even on the trade. They've been down to 64 so far. But we will ask the folks in the room, because sometimes the market at night's a lot slower. It's a lot quieter market. You just turn on your speakers, or we'll send you a tweet if there's a change in the trade or something you need to know. So, you know, we tell them to walk your dog or go read a book or watch TV. Have dinner. We'll let you know if there's something you need to know about what's going on in the market. So we have a lot of different tools and systems that we use to let people know what's going on at night, because, again, it can be slow. I'll be honest with you. It can be like watching paint dry some nights. It can be very quiet. All right. Now, a few minutes ago, I talked about proprietary signals that I have spent a good portion of my life developing since the early 90s that only work in this market. And, you know, there are pivot times. Of course, we do have pivots, you know, during the day session, so this is not really unique to the Globex. But here's what is different. You don't have to know what the DAX or the FTSE or the Hang Seng or the Nikkei are doing during the day. You really don't care unless there's been some event or some, you know, major news situation like, you know, the crisis in Greece that we keep hearing about that keeps popping up, it seems like, you know, every year or so, every 6 months, rears its ugly head. But, you know, for the most part during the day, you're only worried about the U.S. market and how it trades. But at night, you need to know a little bit about what's going on in these markets, and we provide that for you in our chat room. Now, here's probably one of the biggest differences that I can tell you from day to trading at night. DOM, or depth of market, which all of you should have on your platforms. At night, it is our proprietary and most important indicator. During the day, it's totally useless. So there's an example of something that works at night that doesn't work during the day. We also look at the bonds, and here of late, now that we're in a currency war, which, you know, in my opinion, we are. I know you won't ever hear a central banker come out and say, you know, we're in a currency war and, you know, we're going to make our currency cheaper. They just, you know, go about their programs that they know will drive their currency down, as we're seeing in Europe and we're seeing in Japan. So now that we're having these worldwide currency wars and all this financial engineering that's going on, we're having to spend a little bit more time watching the currencies like the yen and the euro especially. But, you know, we keep an eye on the bonds. You know, here of late where oil has been affecting the S&P and the other stocks in the U.S., we keep our eye on oil. But typically, you know, we don't have to follow oil closely like we have been the last couple of months. And Greekisms, as I said before, they're not to be confused with the indicators that we use. They're more or less just, you know, general events that take place in this market that we have found, you know, give us great trade setups. And my philosophy is if you can find something that works 80% of the time, you can make money. And that's pretty much what these Greekisms are. One, of course, is the options expiration Monday is usually up early in the morning. So this Friday we'll have options expiration, and then what I'm saying is there's an 80% chance that the market will be up early Monday morning, maybe not up all day, assuming there's not some big news event that changes that scenario. And how does that help you? Well, you know, the Globex, as I said, we start our trading on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Central Time. all the times that I'm going to use tonight are Central Times. And so if you know that at some point on option expiration Friday, if you're trading Monday night and you're short, knowing that there's a high probability that the market may open up in the morning can be valuable information if you're trading Sunday night after options expiration. Now, you're going to get to see this one tonight probably. We had retail sales numbers today, which were probably the best word I could use, abysmal. That's 3 bad retail trade numbers in a row. That's a trend, in my opinion. And then we had Intel, who came out and guided down, on their earnings. Typically, either one of those would have had a down day. Instead, we're up 200 points today. Yes, we're slightly over sold, maybe short term. I still think the market, for what it's worth, is going lower. So we had a, good old-fashioned short squeeze today, and they did a great job at it. They took the market up on bad news. So what happens is that into the night session, and this is what we're talking about that we did tonight, and listen to this carefully now, when the market closes at the top tick of the last hour of trading, and it's generally the market went up on bad news, again like we call a short squeeze, shorting them into the Globex opening is usually a very high percentage trade, and that's what we did tonight. So we shall see if that trade works out. All right, so there are a lot of these setups, and we just don't have time to go through them tonight. Money management. Now, I know a lot of traders talk about it, they think about it, and we all know it's important, but I will tell you this, if you do not have a consistent and disciplined money management system, you're just not going to have consistent results making money. And some of the biggest mistakes I will tell you that we see if you don't have, proper money management system, and I think all of us know this first one, is overtrading. We've all done it. We've all seen it. We know it's a huge mistake. Trying to hit home runs. We've seen that one. We've all done it. Now this one not too many people think about or have considered is not withdrawing your profits regularly. Now I have found that, if you're going to spend your money and your time and your emotions sitting in front of a screen trying to learn how to trade, you should reward yourself for your efforts, and that's what we encourage the folks to do in our room is, take money out on a monthly basis, reward yourself for your efforts and your time, monthly, quarterly, whatever suits you, but, make some money and reward yourself for your discipline. Now, this one is very important because what I find is I will see a trader start out trading one contract and they get behind and they'll start trading 2 or 3. They get behind some more and they trade 4 or 5. Then they have a bad day and they've taken a huge hit. Then they go back to trading 1. And then, they make a little profit on 1. Then they go back to trading 2 or 3 with big losers in them. We teach the folks in our room to trade consistently. Whatever contracts you're going to trade, you create a unit. For example, if I'm trying to see how I'm doing on time. We encourage folks when they first join our room to set a goal. Now, just real quick, for time's sake, let's just say you set a goal of $2,000 a month. Then you want to trade probably 2 contracts, so you make 1 unit, 2 contracts, and we might put half a unit on at a time. We may take half a unit off at a time, but 1 unit is the unit you will always trade. You don't trade 1 unit one night and go trade 2 units the next night. Not to say that when you get your confidence up and you're doing better, you want to start, increasing the size of your contracts in your unit from 2 to maybe 4, but you establish a goal, and let's say if your goal is to make $2,000 a month, and assuming that you have 20 trading days in every month, also assuming that you're going to have some nights where you lose, if you can average $100 a night, that's not unrealistic, you can hit your goal of supplementing your income $2,000. And you do that by having consistent money management, setting up that unit and staying with that unit, setting your goal. When you hit your goal, you stop trading. One of the hardest things to do, at least for me, I can't tell you how many times at night I have, successfully met my goal. only to get in this day market that's just, so different from anything we've ever seen because of all this financial engineering and what's going on. And then you add in the high-frequency trading and the computers. I make it at night, and then I turn around kind of like Robin Hood and give it back during the day. Don't overtrade. When you reach your goal, guys and gals, quit. That's one of the hardest things to do. Is just turn it off and don't look at it anymore. Now, in the 24-hour room that we have, a lot of folks may trade a couple of hours with me, then a couple of hours with maybe Dr. Stanley in the morning, then they'll trade an hour with maybe Roy. So, they're trading throughout the day trying to reach their goal, and generally speaking, and it hasn't happened yet, and I'm going to knock on wood, we have 7 traders calling trades in our 24-hour chat room around the clock, and it hasn't been a time when all of us lost money. Not to say it can't happen, but we haven't seen one yet. Now, some of the tools that we provide in our chat room, we are a Ninja affiliate. We have foreign market data that we provide you. We give you the dome that you can read. We give you trigger lines, Bollinger Bands. We have the volume MACD, histograms. These are all tools that are available to you in our chat room. This is a screen of what our chat room will look like. You see the foreign quotes over on the left, and then you see a chart on the right. Those are Renko bars, of course. So real quick, because again, I'm trying to stay within our time frame. I apologize for rushing this up. I want to try to get to some questions if you have them. But to summarize the TradersDen24, we have key market times, we have proprietary signals, the Greekisms, and money management. These are the tools that we use in the Globex session at night. The method is fairly simple, and I know some of you may be sitting there thinking, I don't have time to become an international economist. Guys and gals, you don't have to. It's a very simple process to learn, I promise you. If you want to learn how to trade futures, the one thing I know is you're better off trying to learn how to trade them at night than you are during the day where they have so much volatility. And then you can, once you cut your teeth on the market at night, then you can slowly, move into the daytime market. Every trader, as I said before, should understand the night market or the Globex, whether you're going to trade in it or not. It will make you a better trader and a better investor. That I promise you. So here's what we're going to offer you today. You get 30 days access to the Traders Den room. That's with live traders calling trades around the clock. That's Monday through Thursday. We do not call trades on Fridays or Sunday nights. You get access to our library and archives. There's a lot of different webinars that have been recorded. You get the 101 on-demand course, it's yours to keep. We have training classes on Tuesday nights, in-depth. It's ongoing education. We have, like Dr. Stanley will, do a course on a Tuesday night on the emotions and psychology of trading. West Coast Roy may do one on using Murray lines. May have someone come in like John Andrews, and he does a course on trading credit spreads and options. So it's a tremendous amount of education, more education than I think you'll ever get in any one room. Again, the method is simple to learn. I apologize, I hit a bad button there. You're going to get the market times, indicators, and trades from professionals around the clock. You're going to get your low-risk, high-reward trade setups. You'll get all the useful tool, trade signals, and indicators. We don't hold anything back and say, okay, if you put up more money, then we'll, teach you this indicator. You pay one low price to get everything that is in our room that we use as indicators and to call trades. There's a website you can go to. Again, these are the different hours that market traders or our professional traders are calling their times. Also, as a bonus, you're going to get the Options 101 2-hour course with Dr. Stanley. So all the information, trading, access to the trade room, access to our archives and library, and for 1 month it's $47, and then if you renew it goes to $147 a month. It never changes. It's $47 for 30 days. This is all the education, all the trading that you can possibly ever have access to in one chat room. I don't know of any chat room that gives you that kind of access for that price. The $47 is so you can try it for 30 days to see if it works the way I say it does. And here's my experience. If you come into our room, and I'm almost, well, I can guarantee you will, because I've seen it time and time again, if you just learn one technique or one system that makes you a better trader, it's worth the $47. After 30 days, if you do not let us know and you want to cancel, then it's $147 a month. We don't come back and try to upcharge you and say, okay, we'll sell you more indicators. It's $147 a month, period, end of story. All right, so I think I have enough time, Reed, to take questions.
Yeah, Bill, you're good on time. I'm not going to take away from your 45 minutes. So since you started late, you have until 7:15.
Can you tell me how I widen this question box, because I can't see the questions?
Absolutely. So if you see the question, little panel right there, correct?
Yes.
So hit
okay,
the
I've got it
plus
separated
button.
out. I think I found it.
All right, cool.
All right, let me go back and make sure I haven't missed any questions. Okay, this is recorded. John, that was your question. Do European exchanges, this is Michael, dominate trading around the world? They do from midnight till 5 in the morning, absolutely. And they are having more of an effect right now than usual because of all the QE that's going on in Europe. We do not use candlesticks or any of that at night, Brian. Let's see here. If you could trade only during one time period, what time period, which market would it be? That is a great question. I like to trade the Globex session, as I have said during this webinar, because it's a slower, more trending market, and you don't have these high frequency and computer buy and sell programs, and that's where I find most of my success. Now, we have people in the room that, like to trade, the opening in the morning with Roy Bigler from 8 to 10. We have a lot of folks that like to trade the close, with West Coast Roy, with the Murray lines from 1 to 3. So, most of the folks in our trade room are going to find that time that suits, their style and their schedule. That's the beauty of our room. Sorry, but do your proprietary indicators come with the yes? The proprietary indicators do come with the subscription, the 30-day trial. We hold nothing back. We don't say, okay, you've got to stay in the room for 2 months to get these indicators. We put everything out on the table. Of course, we want to give you those indicators early on because, you need to trade them if you're going to trade in the room. And they're yours to keep. We just ask you, they're copyrighted. We just ask you not to share them with other people. Are there times at night that have a pattern, Joe? Yeah, you'll see a pattern probably from 12:30 to 1 a.m. before the DAX opens in Europe. There's a pattern, again, before the European markets open. Stu, you have Genesis Trade Navigator. Can you use it? You can use any platform that gives you a dome and gives you good commissions and it's trades that you're happy with. And no, the indicators are not for Ninja only. You can use our system and trade any platform that you choose. The indicators are We have pivot times, we have the dome, we have foreign markets, we have the time setups, we have resistance and support numbers. There are quite a few indicators that we use in the room, Bill. I just don't have time to really go through all of them. But you get access to those during the trial. It's not something we hold back on. What size account do I need? I would say you need something, you know, in the $2,000 to $5,000 range, you know, to trade. I mean, you can trade with most platforms. You can trade one S&P contract, you know, for $500. If you want to carry one overnight, the margin is usually most platforms are around $5,000 to carry one overnight, which you want to be able to do if you need to. We do not trade bonds, Brian, on a regular basis, but I have put some bond trades on in the room. Usually we hold them for 2 or 3 days. You know, in the room, you know, we're in and out of the market. We're never, we don't carry positions over. We're generally out of the market by 5 a.m. in the morning. Do you have training videos for the newbies? Yes, we do. We have a very extensive library and archives for you to learn from, all part of the fee, the $30, 30 days for $47. Frank, they usually put a date on the website. I want to say it's usually 48 hours. Stu, it doesn't really work that way. You don't just set up your indicators on any particular platform because, you know, we use them with very different platforms. The folks, you know, they have, most of the people in our room, I mean, we probably have someone that uses just about any platform out there. So, you know, they're not designed to work with any 1 or 2 platforms. My trading room hours are from 5 till 3 in the morning, but again, we go literally 24 hours. Our room is open, and we have that room staffed with professional traders to help you navigate the market. You tell me of another 24-hour chat room staffed with live traders around the clock for $147 a month, I'd love to know about it. But again, you know, for $47, you get access for 30 days to see if it works as I have talked about during this session. All right, any other questions? Reed, am I the last one?
Yes, you are. You are the closing speaker for us here. So
Okay.
Looks like you got about 2 more minutes, 2-3 more minutes. If you have any questions, feel free. You got the floor.
Okay. Given your experience with yield curve drawdowns, what could be the smallest survivable account size? You know, that's a hard question. I would say you should have at least $5,000, but, you know, we have people that trade with $2,000 and they make it work. Most of your subscribers are non-U.S. based. Stu, it's about 30% are outside the U.S. We have quite a few Australians. We have quite a few Canadians. We have probably a small percent from Asia, but the majority of them are U.S. I am going to put the, hope I am. That is the website. We have, because we're a 24-hour room, we have 2 support teams. We have one that's in the Ukraine, believe it or not. They do a great job. They support the market and support you when the folks in the U.S. are sleeping, because we have a 24-hour room. And then we have our U.S. support team as well. Simon, where you cover the recap where and how access to Globex. You join our room, you open up a futures account, which gives you access to the Globex. Fees are somewhere around $5 round turn to trade an S&P contract. The trade setup that I talked about, where we go short into the close, has about an 80% probability of working, if that's the trade I think you're asking me about. Can you give a general range of returns? Now, we just started the 24-hour room 6 months ago, well, back in July, and we just started documenting our returns. But, you know, if you take every trade that every trader calls, we are averaging somewhere, I would say, between $400 and $600 a day. But, you know, not everyone takes every trade. But, again, you have 6 or 7 traders that are calling trades. One may lose money, then another one may come in and make money. There's not an Australian chat room, but Stu, there are people in the room that, you know, if you join for the 47 days, you can contact. I don't have their phone numbers. I imagine if you emailed us at TradersDen and asked for, you know, their emails, I'll see if our folks can get it for you. The E-mini, Larry, is the only market I trade during the Globex session, but the other traders do trade different markets. We do recommend brokers, Frank. You know, we use Gain Capital, Ninja. We have IBs we can introduce you to. How many trades per day during my session? There's usually 2 to 4 trades, you know, during the Globex session. But the guys during the day, I mean, they could call, you know, a dozen trades easily. Excuse me. All right, Reed, we'll wrap this up here in just a second. We give the trades. We call definite trades in the room. We give you stops and targets. As I said tonight, we're short from 20.65. We have stops at 20.67 3/4 and 20.68 3/4. All right. Again, I thank you for joining us and giving us your time this evening. Reed, we thank you for hosting. I hope to see some of you somewhere in the world of trading. If not, good luck to whatever endeavors you pursue. And good evening.